Welcome to Deleted Saves. On this episode, Hunter the Reckoning on Nintendo Gamecube. There are two types of people in the video game world. Those who want to be the vampire, and those who want to slay the vampire. And here on Deleted Saves, I've talked at length about the intersection between video games and tabletop RPGs. Today we return to the World of Darkness role-playing setting where vampires rule and werewolves drool, usually over their victims, with 2002's Hunter the Reckoning. This gore-soaked tale takes place in the vaguely American city of Ashcroft, a place where the nearby prison is the biggest employer and source of income for the citizens. Some 50 years prior, the prison was quietly taken over by vampires, who used the prison and those within it both as food and a source of occult experimentation. When a serial killer named Nathaniel Arcady, condemned to die by electrocution in Ashcroft Prison, is placed in the electric chair and the switch thrown, things go very badly. For you see, Arcady was more than he seemed, and the electrocution not only does not kill him, it acts as a conduit for the angry souls of the mistreated prisoners who died under the vampire's care to rise and lay waste to not only the prison staff, but the citizens of Ashcroft as well. In the crowd of witnesses to that execution are four special folks: Cassandra Cheung, relative of one of Arcady's victims; Samantha Alexander, a detective that brought Arcady in; Father Esteban Cortez, the prison chaplain; and Spencer Deuce Wyatt, a roving biker looking for a thrill by watching an execution like a sports game. The celestial choir outside of time and space that monitors humanity for such special people decides then and there that these four are to have their eyes open to the terrible truth, that the world is run by supernatural creatures out of nightmares and bad grade Z movies, and that they are to be the newest hunters with a capital H. You see, in the World of Darkness setting, the world is manipulated from the shadows by vampires, werewolves, ghosts, mummies, and the like. But humans have been swindled into not believing what is going on before their eyes, and to pass off obvious supernatural shenanigans as gang activity and swamp gas hallucinations. However, small cabals of humans are gifted with a glimmer of the truth behind the Gothic curtain, and that's about it. They are given knowledge and a bit of magic, and patted on the ass by the gods to encourage them to go out and do good. Which is how we get shit-show crews of characters like the ones that star in this game. I kid, of course. Characters as shit as this are made by players looking to have a laugh and be impossible. And as the developers of the game made them, I assume by drunkenly throwing darts at a board and rolling fistfuls of dice, we, the buying public, get to suffer. Despite just having been freshly gifted terrifying cosmic knowledge, these four assholes managed to seal the prison off camera, I might add. Always a great way to tell your story, and walk away from the only survivors of a quote-unquote a terrorist attack. 1 year to the day later, a bunch of teenagers that would be perfect fodder for Friday the 13th plot hold a rave in the prison, which awakens the ghosts, who proceed to slaughter the partygoers and then rage out of control into the town. The four, and I say this loosely, heroes, are called back to finish the job and reseal the prison, using magic and lots of stolen military hardware. Obviously, we'll be rivaling the plot of The Godfather here. Along the way, these four finally learn about the vampire overlord of the prison, and that the serial killer they witnessed the execution of was a werewolf in disguise, and that a ghost named Carpenter wants them to draw the vampire lord out so he can have his revenge, whatever the cost. The characters go block by block, covering key areas of the city, unleashing automatic weapons fire across hordes of zombies for good measure, trying to uncover the lost keys to the prison, and how to do just that. We, the player, get to visit the city streets, the subway system, elementary school, cemetery, because of course we do, and prison, among a few other places. Not to spoil the plot, but they hit all of these milestones, even angering the ghost helping them by taking his revenge away, and put the vampire lord to rest one final time before said vampire is able to resurrect the ghosts of his dead family in new bodies of his own construction. And then our heroes go home, exchanging a few 80s quality one-liners before never speaking to each other again, at least until the sequel. Hunter the Reckoning is a 1 to 4 play or couch co-op game that plays like a gothic Gauntlet. While each character has their own personality, they are boiled down to 4 stereotypes: the outlaw biker, the man of God, the hard-boiled detective, and the rave chick. And holy shit, are these stereotypes played to the hilt. None of these characters are likable, except perhaps for the priest, who is a moderating force within this awful character dynamic. But we're not really here for good characters. Hell no, we're here to reenact Evil Dead 2. The developers of this game, High Voltage Software, chose Hunter from the World of Darkness setting because they felt it would translate well as a licensed action game, which worked very well on the Xbox, where games like Halo shined. Problem is, I played this on the GameCube. I should state I did not pay full price for this game when I first got it. I paid $4.99 for it out of a used bin of games at GameStop, an independent GameStop that was not attached to the mall. I was looking to add another game to my GameCube library because I felt I had to justify its purchase, and a dumb, cheap beat-em-up Monster Mash fit the bill. I got every penny of that $4.99 out of my purchase. I played the absolute hell out of this game. Critics complained that the game was a significant downgrade from the Xbox version, with frame rate issues and muddy graphics. For myself, I can't say. Everything in the mid-2000s was under a layer of hardcore gamer muddy graphics, but the visuals did look like a mall goth punk paper doll corridor shooter. Yet I was having fun. I played the game entirely solo, so if there were further issues that cropped up in multiplayer, I never saw them. Then again, my only experience with the Xbox back then was trying 3 games for about an hour. Halo, which was certainly a shooter that existed, Call of Cthulhu Dark Corners of the Earth, which played like a wet turd in a hemorrhaging wound, and The Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind, which the less said about that game the better. So I could not compare this version of Hunter against its original console release. But I will say Hunter the Reckoning is just stupid amounts of fun. That was all that mattered, of course, much like watching a shitty movie with friends. The point is to get loaded, chop up the undead, and have a few laughs to boot. The character abilities are great for this sort of game, and each playable character has their strengths and weaknesses. Like any hack-and-slash beat-em-up. Balance? What balance? It's zombies, and werewolves, and sometimes zombie werewolves go crazy. But the GameCube version of the game was savaged by critics, especially when they compare the 2 versions of the game, receiving, at best, average reviews. That's the problem with games across multiple consoles or PC. Hardware limitations. Graphics, which is how most games are judged, can vary wildly based on whatever kind of processor is under the plastic hood. And if the game is less than photorealistic, most journalist outfits will review it as trash. Yeah, gameplay issues and plot are in there somewhere, but those don't sell magazine ad copy, pal. Hunter the Reckoning received 2 sequels, if you can believe it. One was subtitled Wayward, which I have reviewed previously and was a PlayStation 2 exclusive, and another, subtitled Redeemer, which was exclusive to the original Xbox. All of which continued the plot of the previous games, so yeah. If you didn't own at least 2 of these consoles and were invested in how this trilogy played out, you were shit out of luck. At least for the GameCube port of Hunter, the developers brought in all the lore of the larger tabletop setting to explain why the characters were involved in this plot and exactly what was going on, or at least why a Victorian-era pseudoscientist vampire was running a modern-day prison without any sort of credentials or law degree. The answer in this case is vampire magic, don't question it. Despite my own criticism, I really enjoyed my time with Hunter the Reckoning. It was a great bargain sale purchase, but not a full-price purchase. It was another GameCube port, another also ran on a system that for its time had some absolute bangers of classics, as well as some steaming heaps of games, and in that way, it matched its market rival, the PlayStation 2. Good job, Nintendo, you did a success! It is a game I would recommend, if you can find a copy somewhere, best enjoyed in small doses and with a friend if possible. Hunter the Reckoning is another long line of attempts to bring the feel of the tabletop role-playing game to home console, without the other humans, plastic dice, pizza, snacks, soda, and beer crammed around a dining table being involved. It doesn't really match the feel of an actual tabletop version of the game, which can be more of a slow-burn slasher thriller with unnecessary arguments between players about how things like retail home windows are, and whether or not real-life katanas can cut through the armor plating on tanks. But it does well enough for what it is. and it is certainly not the last time I'll discuss this type of game subgenre on the podcast. And let's be honest, staking vampires and getting headshots on zombies is a genre of entertainment that will never die. Thank you for listening.